But thank you so much for giving me this time to be able to share with you. I'm having a wonderful time. You guys have all done all the heavy lifting already. Like every single key word that I'm going to bring out this morning, you've already covered. Like some of them, like about 300 million times, just in Andrew's prayer this morning alone. And so I'd like, even though I got shared with a prophetic word just then about how God had already raised up the wave and you just come through and let love flow. So I feel like I get to sit back and just enjoy what the Father wants to do in the room right now. So, well, let's pray. Father, I just thank you. Father, I just thank you for what you did in 2025. Father, I thank you for the lessons that were learnt. Father, I thank you for the maturity, those things that we received and those things that we need to leave behind. Father, I just thank you for 2026. And Father, what you're doing and what you're releasing in 2026. Denver, don't go too far. Father, I just thank you for what you're doing, what you're releasing, and for the hearts and minds that you're restoring in this room right now. Father, for the peace, that shalom that you're releasing in every heart, across every mind right now, in every family, in every community, in every business. No matter where you're at, Father, would you just release what it is that they need right now? If there's a drought, would you come flooding into that situation? If a fire needs to be kindled, fall, fire fall. Whatever that need is, whatever the resource requirement, Father, just release it right now. And I call everyone's 2026 blessed in Jesus' name. Wow, so 2025 ended up as a bit of a big bang for us at the end of the year there. 2025 actually represented the last year that we ever had children in high school. So the school fees are back in my pocket. Yeah, baby. So, yeah. So, of course, Isaac was doing his last year, year 12, ATAR, exams, lots of stress, lots of late nights, lots of panicking, blah, blah, blah. He was fine. That was just me, all right? So, yeah, it was grueling. But Isaac, did fabulously well. God told him exactly what his score was. And from a certain perspective, he absolutely nailed it. He didn't get anything more than he actually required. He didn't get anything less than required. He was precision perfect, and he got into his first preference at UWA to do a Doctor of Pharmacy. So he's in. So with that completely out of the way, we were like, that's it, we're out of here, we're going to Queensland for a couple of weeks. All right, see you next year. And so we just had this wonderful time as a family. But really, I've got to thank you all for the recognition that you gave Isaac towards the end of that year. It seemed like there was about 3 months worth of celebrations from Scotch College and from everything that he was involved with. And then to actually have something from Prayer House as well, it was just amazing to behold. And thank you so much. I've already thanked Dave, but Sue, thank you very much for those just incredible words that you had to say for Isaac. It's going to be really important for him this year, but even for years to come, it's going to resonate with him. So, yeah, thank you so very much. And so while we were over in Queensland, Andrew actually reached out and just asked if I would be able to preach today. So I sort of cut myself off from social media and things like that just to come up with a bit of a direct word for the church, whether it be for us as individuals or whether it be the actual house itself. And so, yeah, you guys literally have covered everything that I was going to bring. So the word that I actually had for 2026 was joy. And I think we've covered that, like I said, no kidding, like 300 million times in the one service, and I haven't even spoken yet. And so I really felt for the last 5 years, it's for some people, including myself, I put myself into that bucket, that the last 5 years, there's been some struggle years in that. There's been some real hard times. And so when I was over in Queensland, I actually felt like the Father wanted to change the narrative over what 2026 was going to look like. And that really came through this morning, that, it's peace, it's joy, it's these kinds of things that 2026, he's setting us up for. And I love that about the Father. Joy itself is actually a bit of a super weapon for Christians. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but there's 3 things that I wanted to focus on. But joy isn't just that warm, fuzzy feeling as a result of everything's going right. Joy is actually a bit of a super weapon. Joy is a fruit, and it's also a tool for discernment. In Galatians 5:22-23, it actually talks about the fruit of the Spirit, and the last 2 is peace and joy. So it's actually a bit of a supernatural weapon that Christians can use. Now, we are a prophetic house. We love absolutely everything to do with the prophetic. We love prophetic worship. We love prophetic art. We love prophetic words. And if we could do your coffee somehow prophetically, we would absolutely do that as well. I don't have anyone's coffee order for this service. I am notorious for actually calling out people's coffee orders, but I don't actually have one for this time. But coming back to joy, when you receive a word, a good word produces good fruit. And we should be starting to see things like peace and joy as a fruit in your life. And this is why we love School of Prophets so much, because we've seen some pretty broken people walk away completely transformed. The second point about joy is it's completely rooted in the Father's heart. So you were planned by the Father. You were given specific purpose by the Father. And he actually brings you actually bring him joy. As you step into those things that he's called you out for in your life and for your purpose, it brings him joy. And I think some people actually struggle with that you are a joy to someone. When Isaac was actually announced, when we had the gender reveal, the lady said, "Oh, it's a boy." It was a very different gender reveal from Alyssa. When we tried to figure out what gender Alyssa was, she actually crossed her ankles and then squeezed up, so there was no way that anyone was actually going to tell. Isaac, completely different. He was like, "Woohoo! I'm a boy." And when he did that, I just burst out absolutely laughing, because Natalie was like, "What am I looking at here?" And I was like, "Yep, that's a boy." And that's actually where we birthed his name. It was like, Isaac means father's laughter. He was an endless source, and still is an ongoing endless source of joy for us. And that is very, very much exactly the same for you with the Father. He finds joy in who you are and what you do. And he has an investment in you and wants to see you come to the fullness of everything that's been called on your life. And the third thing is that joy is a place of authority. It's not just a warm, fuzzy feeling. In 1 Thessalonians 5:16, we're actually commanded to rejoice always. And so it's not that things are going well. Joy is actually achievable. It's a place that you can go to when all your situations and your circumstances are completely opposite to that word of joy. It's something that you can step into. It's an authority in a place that you can call out of. And so when I was thinking about, in terms of not just for individuals but for the house, how is joy achieved? So when we went over to Queensland, we did one thing, which was a bit touristy, which was to go to Australia Zoo. Now, our friends had already set some expectations for us. Go early. Traffic is terrible, especially during the school holidays. Buy your tickets online, because that will be the shortest queue to get in, okay? And then the third one is the Irwins are overseas. They're over in Africa and America, so it'll probably be someone who's running the shows locally. And so we were going to Australia Zoo, and we just had this incredible amount of favour on us the whole day. And it was to the point that we were like, okay, something's going on here. This is a part of that joy message that the Father wants to bring. And so we were still on WA time, so 7 a.m. For us is actually 9 a.m. over there. And so we left at probably 9 o'clock. And by the time that we would get there, it was traffic grid lock. It took us 30 minutes to get into the first car park area. And when we finally reached the first person to actually ask, what do we do, where do we go? They said, no, we're completely full. So you're going to have to go to our fourth overflow car park, which is down the street and is quite a bit of a walk. The second staff member we came up to, exactly the same thing. The very last staff member that we were coming up to was our last opportunity. She says, yes, absolutely, you've got to go down the road. And as soon as she'd finished that, the radio actually announced, hey, we've got one more car park. Can you send just one more person down? And the lady goes, off you go, sir. That one's for you. The second bit of favour that we found was that although we'd bought our tickets online, when we actually got to the front counter, there was this huge, it was the longest line to be a part of, was the actual online ticketing system. And so I'm walking up and I've made eye contact with a staff member and she's made eye contact with me and she's come around and opened up a register. And I haven't even broken stride. I'm just walking straight in. Some other person tried to cut me off and the lady goes, no, sir, you're on that side. He's my customer. I've walked up straight away, handed over the tickets and we went straight through. No delay whatsoever. That was the second favour. The third favour, when we were getting our lunch, there was no kidding, people that live in the area said that this is the busiest they've ever seen it in 20 years. It was completely packed out to 4 overflow car parks. And so tables. There was no tables, no chairs whatsoever. We go around the next corner, no tables or chairs. It looked like we were going to have to share with another family. Come around the last corner so that we could see the Crocoseum. And there was a complete table open for all of us. And we got to sit down and just enjoy the moment. So we go to the Croc Show, which is at the Crocoseum, and they start off with birds. And of course, there's a couple of staff members. They ran the show, and the things with the birds weren't actually going quite according to plan. They followed the script sort of vaguely, but some of the birds were landing off in exotic different locations, and they would eventually come back to the trainer. And the cockatoo that they talked to, he was missing some cues and things like that. It was a really hot day, so it was like the animals were acting up just a little bit. And that was fine. It was still hilarious. We had a great time, and they were quite engaging on how to, all about the animals and the reptiles and things that they were bringing out. And then it was time for the crocodile show. And Bindi Irwin walks out with Chandler. And so we were like, yeah, because all of our Queenslander friends have not seen Bindi Irwin actually do one of these shows before. So they were completely jealous. And we were like, this is awesome. Favour everywhere. And so she comes out. She's having a great time. They released the crocodile. Now, the crocodile is Graham, if you've ever been there. So he's the 20-year-old. He's been with the zoo for 20 years. And all the crocodiles that they do stage work with, they know at 1:15 it's time to potentially, I'm going to get a feed. And so when Graham actually got released into the main area to come out into the auditorium, he was this happy-go-lucky little alligator because he knew he was going to get fed. He was like, yeah, this is awesome. He was like a little puppy alligator coming out to the Crocoseum or whatever it was. And as soon as he came into the auditorium, and he saw Chandler on the other side of the pond, it went from puppy crocodile to demon dinosaur in like that. It just dropped down to the very bottom of the pool and started stalking him. And even Chandler was like, I'm throwing this big chicken carcass over here, and his eyes are directly on Chandler. And so he's just going, yep, you, not today. you can have it, crocodile. There you go. And they got him to do a few tricks, like they got him out of the water and things like that. But like most of the animals, the rest of the animals, things weren't quite going to script. And this crocodile was actually stalking a few people. So they were wrapping things up. And what they do at the very end is they throw in a leg of ham or something, and it's attached to a little rope. And what they do is when the crocodile latches onto it, they pull on it to try and get it to do a death roll. And Bendy was like, the way it's going, we might get one death roll. And so they throw this leg in. Graham comes up. Graham, incidentally, is one of the only crocodiles that actually got a bit of Steve. And so they actually show you up on the main stage, the actual incident. And so this crocodile latches onto the leg of ham. And she's like, yeah, we might get something. And so Chandler pulls on it, and this thing does this death roll. It's a 5.7 metre crocodile, and it weighs over a tonne. And this thing just rolled over and started thrashing. And so Bendy was like, yeah, this is awesome. You hardly ever get to see this. Graham's pretty docile. He gets well fed. So he's done the one. And then he's done another one. And Bendy's gone, yeah, this is awesome. And then he's done another one. And Bendy's like just out of her mind at this stage. And then he's done another one. And then he's done another one. And then he's done another one. And 7 death rolls later, this thing finally stops. And so they're all sitting by the side of the pool going, wow, this just never happens. And they cut the string off, and then that's the end of the show, and he goes back to his pen. And Natalie and I were sitting there, and just in that moment, both of us started receiving this download. And you've already sort of covered it today about generations. What suddenly stood out to us about Australia Zoo was, yes, this was famously known for Steve, by Steve Irwin and his Crocodile Hunter show. But his image is there, but the main image that you see everywhere is actually the family. So it's Bindi, Robert, Jerry, and Chandler. And so this man had a passion to work with animal conservation and with land management and things like that. And what he actually created was something much, much bigger than that, to the point that his family actually have now been able to take it over and make it something of their own. And it was in that moment that, little things like it could have been like the Steve Irwin turtle section. It was actually called the Irwin turtle section. And in actual fact, most of the marketing and everything, which was actually something which was done by Steve, all focuses on the family. His image is used, but it's all about family. And that's something which I love about Prayer House, is that we do family well here. I love that we invest time into people. I love that we set up processes in place for people to be recognised and seen and heard and loved. And so in that moment, it's generational thinking that it transforms just a passion into something much bigger than itself and self-sustaining. Yes, there was a lot of clear messaging, but in every opportunity that I possibly could, it was all about family. It was all about family. And I would expect that at some stage, probably Steve will actually be completely removed, and it will just be who the current family actually is. And so God is into generational thinking. And so 2026 is absolutely going to be a building year for us, in terms of, yes, we're actually going to get a new physical building, but also, all the building and things that are that we're required to do, but also setting it up so that the next generation is able to take it over, and then the next generation is able to take it over, and things like that. And so I actually found myself in 1 Chronicles 22 to 28, which is actually a beautiful example of this generational style of thinking, where David is actually approached by God and said he's going to make the first temple. But it's not David that's actually going to be building it. It's actually he's going to raise up a man to build it for him. David himself was disqualified as a result of him being a warring man. And it was a man of peace that was going to be raised up, and he was going to build the first temple. Now, for David, that could have just been completely it. He could have gone, okay, well, sounds like Solomon, over to you, buddy. But with generational thinking, David didn't stop there. In the rest of the verses, we read how he actually prepared the blueprints of what the first temple would look like. He brought together all the treasures of the land that was going to be needed and all the important resources to actually build the infrastructure and things like that. He also organised all the logistics, all the people that were going to do the buildings and the creating and the artisan. He did absolutely everything that he possibly could because he had a generational mentality and he wanted to set them up for success. And that's the cool thing about generational thinking is that there is work to be done, but when you have a generational mindset, it takes the labour out of the work and it brings joy into those processes. So while I actually feel that 2026, that the narrative is going to be changed just for individuals and for families, I actually feel like there is a joy that is being placed upon this house because of what we're building is not just for us, it's for generations that we haven't even met yet. Wow. Can I have Micah back up? Just for a little bit of music in the background, if I could. Beautiful, thanks, mate. And so that's what I feel like the word is for this year. It's joy, but it's also finding joy in the process of doing something, of building something. And so I guess my call to you as individuals, it comes from Genesis, where it actually talks about how God would descend into the garden at a specific time, in a specific place, in the cool of the evening. And he would come and see Adam and Eve. And so my call to you as individuals is, what steps are you going to make in 2026 to make places and spaces available to encounter the intimacy of the Father? What kinds of things are you going to establish so that joy can actually reign in your life? It's a gift. It's a fruit. It's almost a Christian superpower. How are you going to establish and allow joy to be in all of your days for 2026? And in terms of a community, in terms of a house, I guess my call is if you have the capacity and if you're not already, why not attempt to serve in some sort of capacity? Why not add to the voice of this house in some capacity to be able to set up and establish what the Father wants to actually do with a generational mindset? The things that you do, the invisible things that you do in the now, may have that generational effect that David had on Solomon's life by setting the infrastructure, doing everything he possibly could to be able to establish future generations to thrive. So let me pray for you. Father, I just thank you for 2026. Father, I just thank you for those words of joy. Father, I just thank you for those places and those spaces where you're going to be able to establish joy in the hearts of your people. And that even as a community, as we turn our hands to the building of something greater than ourselves, I thank you for those opportunities. I thank you that you're putting those processes in place for joy to be found in those processes. Father, just release your love right now. Father, that joy can be found in family. Joy can be found in the places of work. Joy can be found when our circumstances are in absolute opposition to how we should be feeling. And Father, I call out that fruit in all of our lives. In Jesus' name. So I'd love to take this moment just for the prayer team to come up. And if there is anything in anyone's heart that needs to be dealt with, now is a good time as we just start into 2026. Why not come and get that done? Come and get that thing dealt with. But whatever your need, whatever it is that you need prayer for, this this area is all open for you. So why don't we just have the prayer team come out here. Micah is just going to continue some worship music in the background. And we'd love to stand with you and just release what the Father's heart is for your life.